Hi everyone and welcome back to English 5 course. Today we are going to work with scenery description, which is part of reading section of this course. So reading English 5 description of scenery. Let's start it. Now, content of today's lesson will be about different ways of describing scenery. We will talk about direct description, indirect description, change of perspective, as well as senses. First of all, we will talk about direct description. And this tells us about colors, looks, shapes, sizes, surroundings, materials, time, weather, and so on and so forth. An example about direct description can be like the room was large and shaped like a square. The floor was made of dark oak and the walls were painted in an unidentified tone of white. In the middle of the room was a large gray sofa. On the living room table there was a large bouquet of red roses. Outside the window, the evening sun shone and created a dampened light in the room. Okay, so in this text, we just talked about the colors, looks, shapes, sizes, and surroundings. Okay, so this is the best way to describe a direct description, right? Now go on to the indirect description. With indirect description, it means that you are going to describe the scenery through people's actions, thoughts, and feelings. An example about indirect description, it might be like, she sighed as she sat down on the gray sofa. The white walls felt cold and it felt like they stared at her. The sofa made a squeaky sound at every movement. She leaned for the popcorn but dropped a few that landed softly onto the dark oak floor. She grabbed it, blew off some dust and placed it in her mouth while throwing a fast glance at the large clock. Now go on to the change of perspective. Change of perspective, here we are going to talk about different characters who have a different view on the scenery. Okay, so different characters that are in the same place but they have different view of scenery. Example about that, Lara sat down on the soft sofa and breathed in the smell of freshly popped popcorn. She enjoyed her newly redecorated living room and smiled of content at the clean white walls. Sarah entered with a glass of white wine and sank down in the sofa. She turned around before she seemed content. Why don't you have any color in your home? Everything is white. She shook her head lightly while Lara started the film and turned off the white lamp on the side of the living room table. I like white, she said while leaning back with a wine glass in her right hand. Yes, but it becomes so stiff. Sarah stubbornly continued, she could at least have had some colored curtains. So this is an example about change of perspective. Okay? Now, another way of describing is when we use our senses, which is very effective in written text, especially in descriptive text. We just think about what we hear, what we see, what we taste, what we smell, and we use all our senses. Example about describing by using senses can be like, she hears the large clock strike 12. She sees the large pile of letters on the kitchen table. She can almost smell the exhaust gas from outside, so she quickly closes the window. She smells of the red roses on the living room table fills her. She cuddles up with a soft bed cover that feels almost like a warm, safe hue surrounding her. So this was all for this lesson. Thanks so much for listening. Bye guys.